Good morning. I wanted to just provide some quick information on some Word document tools that can be really helpful. And these pertain mostly to formatting. So I'm going to go through how to set styles for different formats in a way that then can populate a table of contents and enables referencing. So the first thing that I want to do is if we go click on our home tab here, we're going to go over to this button that says styles. And if we click the drop down arrow, we're going to see all of the different possible styles that we can have. And if we click over here on the styles pane, that's going to show us these styles. Let me just widen this. There we go. That's going to show us these styles um, on our little side pane here. Now, the other thing that I want to draw attention to is I've got another little view panel over here. And the way that we access that view panel is by going up to view and then down to sidebar. And the sidebar panel will automatically set to thumbnail, which is going to, of course, show you little thumbnails of each page. I like to set the sidebar to navigation, and that's going to show you what styles you have selected in a document. So it can give you kind of an outline of the document. Now, if we toggle back over to our styles pane here, and I'm just going to try to change the size of this a little bit. There we go. Okay. So if we come back over to our styles panel here, um, we have a couple of options. And right now we're seeing in this list all styles that are used or that are in this current document. If we click all styles that are being used, it's going to show us all styles that are being used. We can also go to recommended or just all styles, which is going to show us, a very long list of all styles that we have. So we're going to go to all styles that are being used. And if we click show styles guide, that's going to just give us a show here of those. I tend to not use that much. We can also click show direct formatting. I also tend to not use that button as much. So this is going to show us what our styles are. So heading 1, we're going to have a Roman numeral. Heading 2, we're going to have a number. And then we've got a title. It looks like we don't have a heading 3 in use yet. If we did, we'd see that right here. So we're going to then have title, subtitle, and different things. And some of these titles I've set. So if we start with, this is probably going to be a title. I might not have this set because anything that you set as a heading style is going to show up here on your navigation bar. But if I want to find out what style this is, I can go up to my styles bar here and I see that title is selected. So this tells me that yes, indeed, this is selected as my title style. And if I go one line under, I'm going to see that this is selected as my subtitle style. If I go one line under that, I think this might be subtitle also. Yeah, this is also subtitle. And then I might have a style for this date here. Let me check. Yeah, so I've got a subtitle emphasis. Now, one thing I'll point out right away is you can see that the text that's showing up here in the style is different from what's showing up on the page. So I've made some changes from the original style. If I would like to change the original style, I can, do a 2-finger click or a left click and select this update subtitle emphasis to match selection. Now, when I click in here, you can see it's changed a little bit. So it's bolded. The color might show up as well. So if we scroll down, next we've got the table of contents. To create a table of contents, and I might use this for last. Yeah, I'll save that for a little bit. So now I've got some basic text, and right here, I want this to show up as heading 1. And I've already done this, as you can see. So heading 1 is showing up, but let's say I wanted to reformat again. I could open up my styles bar, do a 2-finger click and click update. And that's going to apply this format to heading 1. So now everything that I select as header 1 is going to show up with a Roman numeral in Times New Roman, size 18. So if I want to change style of anything else and I want any other style to show up as header one, what I can do is just click this little paintbrush tool here. So first I'm going to select the style that I want, click this paintbrush tool, and then click the text that I want to that heading one style to be applied to. So as you can see here, that changes this to that same format. So now we've got a Roman numeral. It's in Times New Roman in 18. That's actually not what I want for this. So I'm going to go edit, undo. And now this is going to go back to whatever format I had it in, which is just a kind of basic regular strong. Let's say I actually want heading one in this case to not have Roman numerals. I want it to be centered. So I've made some changes. First, I'm going to go and I'm going to apply those to heading one. So update heading one, boom. Now every heading one is going to be size 18 and centered. And let's say I want this to be my heading two, and this is going to be Times New Roman 16. So then I'm going to go in here, I'm going to find my heading two, and I'm going to update. So now my heading two is going to show up like this. So I think this might have already updated to heading two also. Let's check. Nope, this is showing as strong. So I'm going to select what I know is a heading two. I'm going to click my paintbrush tool. I'm going to select this content. And now that's going to show up as heading two. It looks like I have a blank space here that has been selected as heading two as well. So I'm going to delete that. And then I'm just going to come down here and add a space this way. I've got another blank space up here that it also looks like has been turned into heading two. So I'm going to just change that as well. So now when I'm looking over in our navigation bar, I've got heading one here, and then you can see heading two is kind of sub-indented. And then we've got our text underneath. Now we've got, so this is one page. So we're just kind of talking, this is for a course that we're offering through Nourish. So here we've got about the course, the Sila Samadhi Prajna course. We've got our content, what is or what are Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna. How does this course differ? Now I want to kind of start a new section of this course. And so what I haven't done here because I haven't needed to, but I will, first I'm going to click this little paragraph bar so I can see where I've got paragraphs. I'm going to add in, we're going to actually go to layout. I'm going to add in a page break here. Now there's two ways that you can add a page break. What a page break is it's just going to start the next content on the next page, right? So there's two ways you can start a page break. One is you can go to the Insert tab and click this page break. What that does is it'll just move the content to the next page. The other option that we have, and this is the one that I prefer to use, is you go to Layout, you'll find this Breaks button, and then you'll click Next Page. The reason that we use this option instead of the insert option is that when we click next page as layout, that's going to do a full format change. And that'll become important in a minute. We'll circle back to that. But for now, we've done our page break. So now we've got things starting up on the next page. I've added in a header here. If you want to add in a header, you just double click in the header space. I've added our Nourished logo. I've added one line underneath the Nourished logo. If I wanted to delete that, I could do that now. I'm going to keep that though, so I'm just going to undo. Okay, so now clicking back into the formal text, I'm going to go back and make this header one if it's not already. Looks like it is. Great. And now I've got some bullets. I've formatted these already, I believe. So I've already updated our normal text. This is a little bit different. I want it to be bulleted. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to find our bullet. And if I click that, you can see the bullet is really indented. And I don't want that. So I'm going to go undo. and I'm going to update our bullet format. So now our bullet formatting is going to match this. It's going to unbold everything. So I'm just going to rebold these headers, and that's fine. Now I'm going to highlight this bulleted text. I'm going to click our paintbrush feature, and I'm going to highlight this text. Now this is going to format this into that bulleted format. And again, I'm just going to have to kind of play around with the font a little bit here. Okay, so here's the course schedule. And now we're going to actually walk through. I might actually even add a subheading here where I will say basic format. And I'm going to have this be our heading 2. So I can also just click right here, heading 2. If I wanted to modify the style, I could click here. Let's say I want to change the font for the whole style. I can open up and make any modifications right here. I don't want to do that. If I wanted to update the style, I could do that here. I don't want to do that though. So now this is in heading 2. So we've got our basic format here. This session schedule piece, I also want to show up as heading 2. Actually, I take that back. This I want to be heading 1. So we'll click heading 1 right there, session schedule. Going to add a space there. And then I'm going to walk through each week, and these weeks I want to be showing up as heading 2. Okay, so we've got module 1 here showing up as heading 2, and then I'm going to scroll down to module 2, click my paintbrush button. Okay, now we've got module 2 in the right format. Click my paintbrush button again, put module 3 in that format, paintbrush button again, get module 4 in that format. Great. And now we are seeing another page break. So now what I want to add in is I'm going to have to actually do a different screen share here. You're going to see my whole screen for a moment. Okay, I'm going to click over. We've got this Excel document here. And this Excel document kind of provides a very nice syllabus for the course, but it's in a format that's pretty long, as you can see here. So I want to copy paste this into that Word document. I would like to do it as one full document, but I think that the easier way to go is to do this module by module here. So I'm going to start with module 1. I'm going to select these cells. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to stop screen share. I'm going to go back over to our Word document. And I'm going to paste these into our Word document. But before I do, I'm going to go over to layout and I'm going to do a page break. Now this is really important. I'm going to do another page break here. So I'm setting up just one page to put this Excel content into. I'm going to start by just doing a basic paste and see how that looks. Okay, so this is kind of running off the page and it's looking like it might be better if we put this page into landscape view instead of portrait view. So to do that, first, I'm going to click just anywhere on this page and I'm going to go to orientation and I'm going to click landscape. Perfect. Now, one thing I want to point out is, and this is where these section breaks are important. Because I've done these page breaks as section breaks, that enables me to have an entirely new formatting in the container of this page so that when I switch things into landscape view, only this section went into landscape view. This section right here is still in portrait orientation, as is this one. If I had just done a normal page break, so if I had, right here, if I had gone insert and just done a page break, that wouldn't have changed the formatting. So when I changed the orientation here into landscape, that would have done that for the whole document. But because I created a section break, I went into layout, I went into break, and then I went into next page. That restarted the formatting so that my formatting changes are only applied to this section. So it's a really nice tool to have when you want to add graphs or tables into a document. So now just to kind of finish off this formatting, I'm going to click this little button right here, which will enable me to apply changes to the whole table. I'm going to go down to table properties and I'm going to set the style of the table. I want to set the style in a percentage. So right now, the width of this table is going to be 97.9% of the entire document. I actually want this to be a little bit larger. I want this to be about 105% width. So if I click that, this is going to be applied. I also want this to be centered. So to do that, I'm just going to click this center tab right here. That's going to center this. And that should be pretty good for now. Then I can kind of play around with the sizes. So I might make this a little bit smaller. Make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, and I can just kind of play around with the size there until I kind of get what I want. Now, the other issue, I'm going to kind of try to shorten some of these, right? So we want this, we kind of don't need all this extra space. What I'm really trying to do here is to see if I can fit this all on one page. There we go. I can bring this up, and that should get us pretty close. And again, because I've got my this table in a section break, I can also kind of play around with the margins, and that won't apply to the rest of the document, which is really nice. So I might not be able to get this all to fit in one page, and if I can't, that's fine. There's some other tools that we might focus on here. So in the event that this doesn't fit in one page, I'd like this content to show up, and actually even all of this, so this section focus as well, to show up on the next page. So I'm going to highlight that content. I'm going to click on table properties. I'm going to click this button here, repeat as header row at the top of each page. So now when we scroll down to the second page, we're going to see that content, this content here as well. I might also make some changes in the color of this. So I'm going to highlight these squares. I'm going to go to table layout, I think. Nope. Here we go, table design. I'm going to go to shading and I'm going to select, we'll just start with maybe this color blue. Uh, it's actually not a great color. So maybe I'm actually going to do this and I'll kind of highlight this text. I'm going to click more colors. And I'm just going to scale this a lot closer to white. Maybe even drag this a little bit farther out or farther in, excuse me. There we go. So that's going to give us a lighter coloring. And I'm still not quite satisfied. I want this to be a little bit more white. So I'm just going to bring this in quite a bit closer. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So this helps us kind of differentiate the heading from the text here. And what I might do is actually I go ahead and select these three cells, get them so they are the same color. So I'm going to click on our color wheel here. I'm going to click this matching button, select the color I want, match it. Excellent. And over here, oops, I'm going to select these and I'm going to apply our kind of lighter. And these I might go ahead and make white. Just kind of play around with this, see how it looks. There we go. And this just kind of helps us identify what's the header. This is a whole lot to have as a header. So we might go back and, kind of move some things around there. In fact, what I think I might do is we'll go one, the body. This we want to be, delete that. We might add this in here. There we go. So now we're going to need to add a border. You can do this in a number of ways, but I'm going to click on table design. I'm going to click this border and I'm going to go all borders here. So that's going to bring our border back. And then I want this to be centered in the square. So I'm going to go to table layout and I'm going to click this centered button here. Excellent. I can play around with a lot of this more later, just so you're kind of getting the gist of what we're doing here. Okay. Maybe I want to center these, so I'm just going to highlight this column. Great. And then these, I would like to be left aligned and centered. So I'm going to click there. Excellent. And then if I maybe wanted to add bullets, I could do that. So I'm going to click our bullet bar. That obviously is going to be pushing things much too far over. So I'm going to highlight these bullets. I'm going to go to formatting. I'm going to click paragraph. And I'm going to set these to be like 0.1 and 0.1. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, that's starting to get a little bit better. Better option would be actually to start by having these not indented. Great. And then let's see what happens when we reapply the bullet here. So we're still getting that open bullet. I'm going to change this to a closed bullet. And then sometimes it's easier to just drag and drop things where we want them. Excellent. And now I can just highlight this, select my paintbrush tool. Let's say I want these bulleted. It'll just kind of snap right into the same format, which just saves us some extra time. Do that one more time down here. Great. Okay. So now we kind of get a gist, and then we're going to go back. We've got more content here. I would go ahead and do these for the other modules as well, but I think that's pretty sufficient here. So now let's say we're ready to create a table of contents. So I've already got our table of contents, but I'm going to just walk through. I'm going to pretend that we don't have this. So I'm going to create another section break. And we're going to start from scratch. Okay, so this is getting a little bit funky. So the issue that we're running into right now is that I just set a page break and a section break. So I'm going to delete the page break. Now we've got our section break. And then let's see, we'll do this. Add another section break here. Okay. So coming back here, I've typed in table of contents. I'm going to add, make that a level 1 header. So the size is going to go down. I'm going to bring the size back up for this one. And then right below that, I'm going to click insert. Nope, sorry. I'm going to click reference and I'm going to go to table of contents. And I tend to like just the classic table of contents. I'm going to click classic and you can see that's going to populate our table of contents here. I don't love that formatting. So I'm going to go table of contents and I'm going to actually just click to customize this. So we can have from our template, if we do the classic, it's going to show up in this kind of wonky way. There's a few other different styles that we can have. This formal one is kind of nice. I'm just going to stick with this, I think, from the template that we have. We'll see what that looks like. So it's, asking if we want to replace a table of contents since we already have one. I'm going to say yes. And here our table of contents is going to show up. And we've got the page number over here. The first thing I'm noticing is because I made our table of contents a header. Oh, and it looks like it's actually gone and made some changes to our formatting. So it started to put all of our heading 1 into italicized font, which we don't want. And it's also changed the font style. I'm going to go back. I'm going to make this heading 1. I could undo this or I could just reformat, right? So I'm going to go update to match style. There are some other changes that it might have made. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and undo that. And why don't we just try again with our whole table of contents here. I'm just going to delete this. Don't want to delete the section breaks. I'm going to add in. Okay, it looks like the formatting is still changed down here. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so we're going to try this one more time. I'm going to go to layout, or sorry, we're going to go to references, table of contents, and we'll just click select to custom. And we want one that's going to include our page headers as well. So this distinctive might be nice. Show page numbers. We're going to right align the numbers. We're going to use hyperlinks. That's kind of what we want. That's great. We can also kind of build a table and say what we want in it. We don't need to do that. I think that's pretty good. So we're going to click OK. And this is asking, do you want to replace it? I'm going to say no. We're going to keep the one that we have down here. We're just going to do a second. So this is starting to look a little bit nicer, but we're going to go back and we're going to have to redo some of the formatting things have kind of changed. So that's fine. So we're just going to go and highlight this header 1. We're just going to get that back into the formatting that we want. And I think we're going to just, for now, we'll just set that to 1.5. And we're going to update. Boom. And it looks like this is holding pretty nicely. Okay, so we don't need to make any changes there. It was just to our heading. So now we're going to go back up to our table of contents here. I don't want any of this to be italicized. So the first thing I'm going to do is just highlight everything and unitalicize it. So here we've got our header 1. What is Sila Samadhi Prajna? We've got our 2 subheaders. And then we've got our course schedule, basic format, our section schedule, each modules. And then we've got some extra content down here. That's our social media posts. I don't want that content to show in the table of contents. So I'm just going to delete it. There we go. And now we've got our table of contents. We can go ahead and delete this one. I'll delete this section break as well. Great. The last thing I'm noticing is that this is not showing up as header 1. Great. Okay, so now we've got this as header 1 as well, which means it's going to show up here in the navigation tab. This last page, I think I can actually leave out for now. We'll just delete that entirely. Okay, so just a few more things. We might want to have a header here so that this is going to show up in the navigation bar as well. But first, I think we might add a caption here, a title header. So we're going to go table 1, module 1, structure. And we're going to label this as a table. And where do we want this positioned? We'll have this show above the table, almost like a table header. Great. So now our table 1 is showing up here. We're going to make some changes. I personally don't love the italics. We're going to make that bold. We're going to make that a little larger. We're going to put that into this font here. Excellent. And then the last thing, you can see that table 1 is hyperlinked here. One thing that we can try if we want is if we put this into a header, then it's going to show up over here like this. And maybe we want to center that as well. Great. So now one thing that I want to call out is because we have this formatted as a table, we can come up here into module 1 and we can even add maybe just right here, see table 1. And if we highlight this one, we go to references and we click cross references. We can reference a table. We're going to just do the label number. If we click insert, click close. Now this table 1 is hyperlinked. You can see that my cursor turns into a little finger. So when I click on that, it's going to take me to table 1. That's a pretty nice handy tool that we can have. These should be hyperlinked as well. So if I click on any of these, it'll take us right to the spot. Let's say I wanted to reference a header. So for course schedule, click here. I'll just say. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to go back to this cross-reference and I'm going to hyperlink to a heading. And let's say I want to click to this heading here. I can have it just import the heading text. I can have it import the page number. For us, we actually don't want any of this because it's going to replace, so I'll just show here. Let's say we're going to go the header number with the full text. We're going to do it as a hyperlink and we're going to add above or below. Now when I click insert, you can see it's changed the content here. So if I go close, we can see what's hyperlinked and it'll still go to it, but that's really not what we wanted it to say. So we're going to go undo. Our other option is we can go to this hyperlink button here. And this is where, if we wanted to hyperlink to an external web address, we're going to click over to this document. We're going to go to headers and we're going to click course schedule. We're going to click OK. And now this is going to apply a hyperlink without changing the text, which is pretty nice. And then let's say we wanted to also reference table 2 in parentheses. Okay, so we're going to add our parentheses, put our cursor right in the middle. We're going to go to, references, click our cross-reference tab. I'm going to go up to table. And here we're going to ask for the label and the number of the table. And, okay, so we're going to click insert. And you can see that table 1 has been inserted. Let's say we also want to add the page number. We can click page number, insert, and now the page number has been added. We could add something in here like on page 9. And we could also add some direction, so above or below. Put our cursor in here on page 9. Now, one nice thing about adding some of these options, because this page number is hyperlinked, if the page changes, we can just highlight it, do a 2-finger click, and click Update Field, and that will update to the correct page number. Same with this table. If we end up adding a table before this, so our table 1 turns into table 2, we can just do a 2-finger click Update Field, and that will update that automatically for us. Same thing here with the table of contents. If the page numbers change, rather than manually changing these, we can just do a double click, go update field, and it'll ask us, do we want to just update the page numbers or the entire entry? Maybe we've added another section in here and we want to do the entire entry. We click OK, and that'll just add everything. Because we chose to do the entire entry, that added the table of contents back in. So we're just going to go ahead and delete that again. Pretty easy. There we go. And we might want to change the text of this to Times New Roman. And I like the color of this document to be in navy. There we go. And we might, say maybe we don't want these to be bolded. And we want nothing to be italicized. And then we can see our table down here as well. Great. So that's just a few kind of little tricks. We might even want this to be on its separate page. I find these to be really helpful when navigating kind of large Word documents. And I especially find just having this, so again, if we go to view, having this navigation sidebar here can be a really handy trick. And then, of course, the last thing that I'll offer here is if we can change what shows up in this navigation bar. So we can have our thumbnail, we can have our outline, we can show revisions if we're adding in comments, and we can do a search bar. If I wanted to search, let's say I want to, I think that I misspelled samadhi, or I want to add an abbreviation, I could do a search and replace here if I wanted. So let's say I want to add an asterisk after every samadhi. I'll click replace, and we can see now that asterisk is added. I actually don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo. But that's just some other options that we have. There we go. Hope that was helpful.